Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Sikunye's 5-year celebration. My name is Richard Lundy, and I will be hosting you in tonight's event. And as the Sikunye team, we are so glad that you're part of this event with us today. And this is the second event that we've run today, so that we could have as many people as possible. And I want to thank each of you for joining us. You are most welcome here tonight. Now, I recognize that some of you are very familiar with Sikunye and know all of us in the team. For others, you might know only one or two of us. So I'd love to do an introduction of the full team. You'll be able to see Daisy, who is our administrator. She joined the team in 2020. Bryony is our content developer and joined us in 2018. Ruth leads our work to see churches put things into practice and joined in 2014. Usiswa works with community mobilizers to reach new churches and joined in 2023. And then Polly is our CEO and joined the Common Good team in 2015. Now, if we were in person, I think we would have a huge, nice cake with 5 big candles on it. But because we are spread out from all different parts of the country and even different countries represented here tonight, we each have a little cake with a candle on it. Now, you won't be able to blow the candles out, but we will. And so I want to say, happy birthday, Sikunye. Let us blow our candles out. There we go. Now we're going to enjoy that cake a little later. I wish we could share it with you, but perhaps when we see each other in person again, we'd be able to share a cup of tea or coffee and some cake together. But now that we've introduced ourselves, we'd love you to introduce yourselves. Please use the chat box to introduce yourself, share your name, and perhaps where in the world that you're zooming in from. And it would be great for you to meet each other because there are people in this room tonight from different parts of the world, but also from different churches. There's academics, there's researchers, we've had nonprofits, we've got parents, we've got various groups of people that have somehow engaged with Sikunye over the last 5 years. And it'll be great for you to get to meet each other. So please remember when you're using the chat function, there's an option to message the panelists. Please don't use that one because no one else will see that. Use the one that says for everyone so that everybody can meet you and get to know where you're from. We love busy chat boxes, so please do go ahead and use that to your heart's content. And now, because it is a party, we want to give a prize away to the person who introduced themselves first. And now we've kind of excluded people that have been kind of in the Common Good team. And so, Tabisa Monakili Kwadushe from Cape Town, you are getting a Take-A-Lot voucher for being the first person to use the chat box to introduce yourself after we gave out those instructions. Thank you so much. And yes, there are other prizes coming. We hope this is a fun, exciting birthday party with prizes for many people. And before I go any further, we want to let you know something else that we will give you tomorrow via email or WhatsApp. It's a written version of what we are sharing tonight. You know, in 1 hour, we can't tell all the stories or honor all the people that are in our story. And so we're presenting some in this event tonight, and you can find out more in that document. And as I say, we'll send that out tomorrow. Now, the name Sikunye means we are in this together. And this is at the heart of the message of our team, is that parenting is not meant to be done alone. It takes a village to raise a child well. And so the theme for tonight's event is we are in this together. As we've looked back over the last 5 years, we've been so encouraged and humbled by the remarkable contributions you have made to this story. In so many ways, this event is more about you than it is about the 5 or 6 team members in Sikunye. And we hope that tonight you feel seen in our journey. As people who are informed and shaped by our faith, I also want to start tonight by recognizing and thanking God for his work in what we do. Time and time again, we have seen him orchestrating, leading, providing, and bringing fruit to our work. To him be the glory. Now, to start us off, we're going to be looking at the beginning of the Sikunye story. Let me introduce Ruth to you, who will share where Sikunye came from. She's been part of the Sikunye team from the very beginning, and so we thought it best if she tells the story of how it all came to be. Over to you, Ruth.
So Sikunye is turning 5. Sikunye is the early life initiative of an organization called Common Good that has been around much longer. Since 2005, the non-profit Common Good was launched to address some of society's biggest issues. And you will find that even before Sikunye was launched, the focus on the first 1,000 days was already there. Let's watch this video together featuring some of the people that were part of this beginning story and how we conducted the research that informs what we do today.
Common Good was formed in 2005 with the intent to address some of the most pressing issues in society. We committed to finding levers of change that can have the biggest impact on our South African communities. In 2013, we began to more deeply understand the vital importance of the first 1,000 days of life on the trajectory of human development and decided this needed to be one of Common Good's key areas of focus and priorities. Shortly after, we launched a pilot with pregnant mothers in vulnerable communities in Cape Town. Over the course of 2014, 2015, and 2016, we witnessed the incredible impact that a caring and supportive community can have on a mother's ability to respond to and meet her baby's needs. But at the end of 2016, whilst reflecting on the pilot, we found ourselves constantly asking this question: what is the role of the local church in this unfolding story?
This led us in 2017 to conduct rigorous exploratory research into formally asking what is the role of the local church in Cape Town in supporting the first 1,000 days of a child's life. To effectively understand the issues and the opportunities, we engaged a wide range of people. Through interviews, workshops, and literature reviews, we took time to ensure that we were not just passionate about this, but also well informed. We spoke to over 194 people, including individual practitioners, church leaders, experts, mothers, and carers, and they all participated in this research. We also included surveys, community workshops, interviews, and a literature review.
As one of the researchers, I was blessed, humbled, and privileged to be a part of something that will change lives, families, and communities forever. I've learned so much as I've spent time with the mothers and engaged with the church leaders. As I conducted the focus groups with the mothers, I was amazed to see the turnout each time we met. Those mothers were hungry to learn more about themselves and their unborn child. What stood out to me was their willingness to share and engage on the various topics. I was struck by their vulnerability. They openly and freely shared their experiences and learnings. I see the importance for mothers and their babies to get support through support groups either in the week, on a Saturday, or even a Sunday morning during the church service.
As one of the researchers, I ran the focus group with mothers in Khayelitsha, and what stood out for me was how vulnerable and in need of care and love these mothers were. I was struck by how little they knew about how important it is to take care of themselves and to relate to their unborn babies while they are still carrying them. And what got me excited and gave me hope was their eagerness to learn.
As you can imagine, there was a lot of rich information gathered from all the interviews and surveys. And we wanted answers to the question, what is this data telling us? So we used statistical and thematic analysis methods to make sense of our data, and then we used charts and graphs to depict the summary findings and the big ideas in easy to understand and visually accessible ways. The final research report ended up being a comprehensive document of just over 200 pages.
We finished the research journey deeply convinced that the church is uniquely positioned and equipped to make a significant impact in nurturing our children's full potential by supporting their development in the first 1,000 days.
It was with this deep conviction that Common Good published the research findings in February 2018 and shared it with anyone who was interested, recognizing that the conclusions of the research needed to go beyond the scope of Common Good. You can download and read the full report on our website. We then embarked on a roadshow across Cape Town, delivering these insights and conclusions. We shared it with pastors, denominational groups, medical experts, policymakers, NGO forums, and everybody who was interested in seeing young children thrive. We are so grateful for this research project, as it has really given us confidence that this is not just an idea, but an initiative shaped by rigorous research. It has given us a deep conviction and motivation behind all that we do. In 2020, we were invited to publish the findings of the research in the Christian Journal for Global Health, this opening more doors for growing awareness in other countries. I want to thank and acknowledge those people who caught the vision for this during the research phase. Specifically, the Antoni Roux Stichting, also known as VUMA, were a strategic partner in that season, and I want to thank Albert Geldenes for his ongoing support. Thank you to all the 194 people who participated and raised their voices. You have shaped who we are and what we do today. After the research findings were published in 2018, as Common Good, we grappled with how to take the findings and recommendations and then put them into a program. This big vision we then put into a theory of change. This is all about capturing the essence of how this program would lead to the change we want to see. And let me share with you now Sikunye's theory of change.
The next chapter of the story of our country will be written by our children. Within one generation, the babies of today will be our country's leaders, employers, innovators, educators, and will be shaping the future of our country. And so, for our collective future, we want all children to be on a pathway of thriving and reaching their full potential. We want them to be healthy, ready for school, and grow up to be contributing members of society. We want a bright future for our country, and our children are at the center of that story. Tragically, up to half the children in developing countries do not get a strong start to life. The foundation they need for future flourishing is not well established, and they're on a pathway of mere survival and struggling to get by. Let me share one statistic with you. In South Africa, as a result of chronic malnutrition, up to a third of children under 3 are stunted. And the effects of this last a lifetime, with impaired brain development, lower IQ, weakened immune systems, and a greater risk of disease later in life. Children who are stunted frequently have lower productivity and earn up to 20% lower than average wages as adults. And we know that children who are on this pathway of struggling typically end up having children who struggle, and the cycle of intergenerational poverty continues, and the next chapter for our country will be no different than today's. There is an ever-increasing body of evidence that for children to succeed, we need to invest early. With advanced brain scanning technologies, science is showing us that the early days of a child's life has a profound influence on their well-being, both as a young child as well as far into the future. The early days of a child's life are the first 1,000 days. This is the time from conception up to the age of 2. And it is in this time that the child's brain is developing at a never-to-be-repeated rate. And because of this rapid growth and development, the brain is particularly sensitive to experiences and the environment, whether good or bad. What happens to baby in this time really matters. And thousands of studies have shown that all children need 5 things to be on the pathway of thriving, to give their brain a good foundation for future learning and growth. These 5 things are adequate nutrition, stimulation or opportunities for early learning, security and safety, good health, and responsive caregiving from their parent or caregiver. Simply put, if we want our children to be on a pathway of thriving, they need to have enough of the right kind of care in their first 1,000 days of life. This then puts the spotlight on the adults in the child's life. The people who are responsible for providing nurturing, responsive care is the mom, the dad, the granny, or the adults in the child's life, because baby cannot provide these things for him or herself. Families are at the center of providing nurturing care for young children. And for us to see children thrive, we need to be focusing on the parents. We believe parents want to give their children a strong start to life. But parenting is hard. There are many factors that influence our parenting. We adopt parenting behaviors from what we experience or observe in others, whether these practices are healthy or not. And along with parenting comes a change in identity, additional burdens, sleepless nights, new relational challenges. Parenting is hard. And this is why we need to be paying attention to the well-being of the caregivers. Parents are most able to provide their children with nurturing care when they are doing well. And so we say all parents need support. Support like caring relationships, information and skills, and access to services. And the rest of life doesn't stop when you have a child. Factors like mental health challenges, poverty, violence in the household or community, and illness may overwhelm the strengths that parents have, negatively impacting the care they provide for their young child. These families may need targeted interventions in order for them to provide what baby needs. So for us to see our children thrive, we need to support the parents in the child's life. But who can provide the support? This is where the local church comes in. Spread across the nation are local churches that are already equipped to support families. Each church has inherent strengths and existing practices that make it well suited to play a supportive role for parents. Consider too that faith communities have a range of people in them, each with various capabilities and connections. And this social capital can be leveraged to focus on seeing families thrive. A church's support to families is sustainable too. Churches don't need to employ people to do this. They have existing practices that involve visiting families, caring for others, and training. And in addition to that, it's contextually relevant. Churches understand the community and cultural practices. And by using the strengths they already have, they can powerfully support families. And this is not about the church doing everything, but rather playing its unique role in a whole of society approach to seeing families thrive. Government services are essential. NGOs are crucial. We are talking about churches playing their role in supporting parents for their well-being so they can give their children a strong start to life. So let's go back to the future of our country. If we want the next chapter to be better, to have more flourishing, we need to focus in on the youngest of lives, from conception to 2 years. For these children to be on a pathway of thriving, we need to pay attention to parents, ensuring they have the support to provide what their young child needs. And the local church is equipped and positioned to care for families in powerful ways. There is a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child, and local churches are well placed to be those modern day villages around families. The work of Sikunye is to inspire, mobilize, and equip local churches to play their unique role in supporting parents. We focus on 3 primary activities. We raise awareness with churches, and for those that want to care for families in the first 1,000 days, we then equip them and support them and connect them to relevant resources and services. The next chapter of our country will be written by our children, but it is up to us to give them a strong start to life. Together, we can be part of seeing every child on a pathway of thriving. I know that all of you in this Zoom room here have a similar heart to see all children on that pathway of thriving. We as Sikunye, we're not the only ones committed to seeing this vision come true, and we are so grateful that we get to do that with you. Now, before we continue, I'd love to see some more comments in the chat box. And the question for you to answer is, well, when and where did you first come across Sikunye? Maybe it was on Zoom, maybe it was in person or over WhatsApp. What year was that? Maybe there was a particular event that comes to mind. And please take a moment to do that. And yes, there may well be a prize involved, but be sure to put the date in there as best as you can remember it. Now, when we're looking at what churches can be doing, we want to share the story of one church that is part of our network. We could tell many stories of many different churches doing incredible things to support and care for families. But let me hand over to Bryony, who will be introducing us to a church called Light Restoration Centre. Over to you, Bryony.
Thank you, Rich. So before Sikunye was even conceived, God was already at work in a church in Cape Town. Pastor Teminkosi Fati and Pastor Siyabonga Matunda and their wives Bongiwe and Sikiswa attended one of the very first The Church in Early Life events. Nobody knew that 5 years later, their story would be so intertwined in the conception, the birth, and the growth of Sikunye. Whereas a local church in Imfuleni, they're seeing families in the first 1,000 days impacted. So let's hear a story from Pastor Fati.
My name is Tembingosi Robert Fati. I'm a pastor in a church called Light Restoration Center in Mfuleni, Burundi, in Cape Town. I actually met Sikunye in 2019 when they held their workshop in Desmond Tutu in Makaza. And from that day, it was an eye-opener for me as a pastor, because it was a new program that I never heard of in my entire life as a pastor. So it actually inspired me to learn more, to attend more workshops with them. In those workshops, actually, I got skills that I think it's necessary for pastors to have as they minister to their churches. My church, I want actually to be FTT friendly. Make sure that, there's actually rooms for moms, and also for those that come with the little ones, the safe space and all those things. So that is my dream. Although my church is still very small, but at least I know now, even it gets bigger, and then I got more congregants with those little ones. They must feel safe. They must feel accommodated. They must feel at home, because the church need to welcome everyone. Speaking out for me about this program is a priority, so that all churches can be involved and make sure that they take care of our most vulnerable in the first 1,000 days. Because one of the things actually that stood up for me was to see the gap that we as pastors, we didn't see for years. Because we always pay attention to age 3 years upward. But this program actually showed us that we can start from the beginning. And also, since there's also a saying in Xhosa that it also made me realize that word was, what does it mean really? Because if you are going to mold a tree while it's still young, and now you are neglecting the first part, because we always bring children to church to be welcomed by the church and also to be blessed, but we end up living there without my involvement with those that are actually caring or parenting the little ones. I saw also this powerful collaboration. From Sikunye, that is a skill that I actually got from them. Collaboration, it was something that's normal, but I see now there's actually power in that. Working together, inspire and get involved, so that we cannot actually make a difference alone. So we actually collaborated with a lot of organizations, if I can mention a few: Parent Center, Hotlines, and also be involved in our community, start to have programs that actually will change the community for better. For example, we had a group trained parents in our community to learn new skills on how to do positive parenting. So coming into contact with Sikunye really helped me as a pastor to be, if I can call it, to be the salt in our community. I can encourage all pastors to come on board and learn new skills, and then we can journey together. Sikunye, we can make a difference to our community. Thank you.
It brings such joy to my heart as I listen to the story, as I can remember meeting Pastor Fati and Pastor Sia in 2018 at our roadshow event in Khayelitsha. It has been wonderful journeying with them and witnessing their unwavering commitment to playing their part in making a difference in their community and beyond. And as Sikunye, we have the privilege of working with hundreds of church leaders and individuals like Pastor Fati who are committed to making a difference. And as I'm looking through the chat and seeing where we first met, it's wonderful to see names of individuals that I know that we have met. We've seen you on our trainings, and you are also committed to making a difference for young children's lives in your space, in the spaces that you're working, and in your churches. As Sikunye, we don't work directly with parents. We don't work directly with children. we are working to mobilize the social capital inside the church to put activities in place that are strengthening families in the first 1,000 days and to be a supportive community around parents and caregivers. We work to leverage these unique strengths of churches to get churches actively involved. And so Sikunye's work can be summarized in 3 areas. 1, we raise awareness. 2, we equip. And 3, we provide ongoing support and connect church leaders and individuals. Importantly, Sikunye is not about providing a program that's in a box that you just pick up. We recognize that each church, each community, each family is different. And so through our work, we share principles and a range of ideas or options that can be applied in different ways given the strengths and the assets of that church and community, using what is in their hands. Therefore, each church's journey is different. Over time, we have adapted what we do, we have continued to learn and grow, and we have innovated as we seek to work with churches. You might know one element of what we do, so let me paint a brief picture of what we do. Like we heard from Pastor Fati, the significance of the first 1,000 days of a child's life is a brand new concept for most church leaders and most individuals. It is an eye-opener for pastors to see the gap and recognize the important role their church can play. So our first step is to inspire church leaders by raising the awareness around the importance and the opportunity, and mobilizing church leaders by helping them to catch the vision and decide that their church will commit to do something about it. We do this mainly through presenting our The Church and Early Life event, and then we also use other avenues to raise awareness, where we are invited to speak at conferences or on radio, through newspaper articles, and much more. We also have a very active social media channels to spread the big idea. We then also tackle some big topics in the first 1,000 days that are of specific interest to church leaders through our Thought Leadership series and webinars. We have grappled with issues like teen pregnancy, fatherhood, and building resilient families. We call churches and church leaders to commit their churches to becoming FTD friendly or first 1,000 day friendly. We then equip and support churches through our various events and workshops on how they can be more intentional in the 6 different parts of an FTD friendly church. These 6 areas are generally things that churches are already doing that can be adjusted to include the first 1,000 days to have a positive and supportive impact on young families. One example of how we equip churches is through our regular practical workshops. We usually bring in an expert on the topic and then practically connect it to what churches can actually be doing. We have covered a wide range of topics over time that relate to caring for families in the first 1,000 days and how to practically do each of the 6 areas of an FTD-friendly church. In all of these workshops, we record them and we write up a summary document as a resource for each topic that is kept on our website for churches to make use of as and when they need them in the future. So talking about our website, over time, we have developed over 270 resources for churches on our Sikunye site. These are mostly documents that we have developed to help churches put things in place. We have also equipped churches. We equipped churches by training volunteers to visit with parents in the first 1,000 days and to share health information and skills with them. This is our Katalela training, which has a step-by-step guide for visiting families and resources for individuals to use as they supportively journey with parents and have opportunities to share trusted information to encourage parents to provide responsive, nurturing care. Individuals who are trained are importantly not health experts. They are strongly advised to refer parents to their healthcare provider or local clinic. The visitor's main role is to provide a caring and supportive relationship. We regularly receive feedback from participants on Sikunye's mobile, which is managed by Daisy, who's going to read some of that feedback to us now.
Thank you, Ruth. I must say, I absolutely love receiving the feedback that I get via the Sikunye mobile. A church leader recently shared with me, quote, I met with a mother on Sunday afternoon after church. She is facing difficulties regarding her marriage. Also, she has 5 children. The youngest one is 14 weeks. The mother said that she doesn't have the strength and energy. She isn't coping, and the kids frustrate her a lot. She feels like it's the end of her life. So I listened and encouraged her that she is not alone. We are with her. If she needs help, she can talk to me. I'm there for her. We talked and she shared with me that she felt like nobody cares about her, but now she realized that she was wrong. End quote. Another participant's feedback was that after watching the training videos and going through the Katalela training, I think I am now equipped to visit moms or families.
So another program that we have developed is Fatherhood in the First 1,000 Days. And thanks to Innovation Edge for their partnership, we have an equipping training for churches that is using peer support within the church to encourage and support men to be positively and actively involved in their young children's lives right from the very beginning.
A fatherhood participant shared, I want to thank you, Sikunye. The training in fatherhood helped me personally. I now know the importance of the first 1,000 days in a child's life since I had a father who is not my biological father. But he raised me for the first 4 years. So the training made me connect with him, to love him as my father, because knowing the importance of fatherhood in a child's life, I realize he invested a lot in my life in those first 4 years.
It's wonderful to hear these stories of individuals equipped to reach out to mothers, fathers, and caregivers. I'm not able to go into all the details of all the equipping and supporting offerings that Sikunye does, but in all our work, we work to reach people where they are and try our best to make it as accessible and reachable in any context. We have been adding to our offering, learning, improving, and changing as the environment has changed from lockdown to load shedding. We are making use of all the platforms available to us, from in-person to online events, to WhatsApp learning, to running hybrid events, to reach as many churches as we can and to remove as many barriers as we can. I am really excited about the future as we continue to innovate and see how we can best equip and support churches to help them to deepen their impact as they practically encourage parents to provide the much needed responsive nurturing care that all children need to thrive.
Thank you so much, Ruth. So encouraging to hear those stories, and we'll be sharing a little bit more of that later on. And we've been checking the chat box. Those of you who've been mentioning when you were introduced or when you first met Sikunye, and it ranges all the way from 2 weeks ago to many years ago. And so to mention Klaas joining us from overseas in the Netherlands, Robert Nettleton in the UK, Donovan Miller and Kerry Felton based here in Cape Town. And it looks like the 2 earliest people, or the people who met us the earliest, is Klaas and Robert Nettleton, and you get spot prizes, and we'll be reaching out to you to get those to you. We're in contact later tomorrow. But I want you to consider for a moment that in South Africa this year, there will be 1 million children born. And think too, how many of those children face challenges and risks that throttle their potential and put them on that pathway of survival. And when we think about that, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed and feel like there's just too much to do. Now, we fully believe that it's not just one sector of society that is responsible for giving children a strong start to life. It takes all of us. We first heard the term whole of society approach from the Health and Wellness Department of the Western Cape government. They have a unit that focuses on the early life course. And Dr. Hilary Gooiman is the director of this unit. And we found it so encouraging to work with her, Nicolette Henny, Megan Marie, and other members of the team. In our work, we want to be sure that we're in line with the activities and messaging of health and wellness departments. And we've had them speak at our events, and they supply various materials to us that we distribute at our in-person events. So thank you for your support. But we asked Dr. Hueman to help us see what this whole of society approach is all about. It isn't just up to government to give children a strong start to life. It involves all of us. So let's listen into this brief recording that she sent for us tonight.
Ensuring children get a strong start in life requires a whole of society approach, which involves the participation and collaboration of all stakeholders in society. Parents and caregivers need support from healthcare providers, educators, policymakers, private sector, community organizations, civil society, and churches to work together and form support networks for families in need. By working together, we can create a cohesive system and network. Through our collective efforts, we can support children and families, parents, caregivers, making sure that every child has the opportunity to thrive, reach their full potential, and ultimately strengthen our society as a whole.
What I love about this concept of a whole of society approach is that it recognizes and respects the various interventions that are needed to see children get a strong start to life. There's no silver bullets, no single program or initiative that will solve the massive challenges that our children face. And at Sikunye, we are so passionate about seeing churches play their part. But we know that it's not only up to us. We've had partnered with universities, and we want to recognize the University of Stellenbosch for their guidance and input. We also see everyday citizens, those that are passionate about early life and are busy and actively supporting families. I see non-profit organizations, non-governmental organizations. I see people who employ others and have made their workplaces first 1,000-day friendly. We are in this together. Our country's children deserve the very best, and that calls us to share, to engage with each other, to collaborate, to learn from each other, to be open-handed with ideas and materials. So thank you to all the organizations, the service providers, the resource creators who are playing their part in seeing children thrive. We are so grateful that we can refer churches to your services and your offerings. We are in this together with all of you. Now, just like at any birthday party, there are some speeches. And we asked a range of people in our network to send in messages for us to play at this event. Some people summarized their view or experience of Sikunye in a word or a phrase. Others were asked to simply share a message of encouragement for us. We've compiled this together into one video, and we hope that it is encouraging to you because it has been very encouraging to us. And while it's playing, you're most welcome to send in your well wishes, your birthday wishes in the chat box. I've seen several come through already. Thank you so much for that. But let's watch this compilation of well wishes for Sikunye from people in our network.
Well done to you and your fantastic team at Sikunye for 5 incredible years and through the COVID years to boot. As the early years consultant to the Do More Foundation, we value our partnership with Sikunye hugely, and we see the potential of the work that you do in mobilizing church communities all over the country to put young children and their families first and to support them to do just that.
These trainings have helped our church in an amazing way with regard to supporting parents of young children. Now we know exactly what to do to help and care for parents in the first 1,000 days. We usually meet with them and listen to their problems and give them solutions at the end. We are trying by all means because of the things that we have learned. We also have learned not to judge them because everyone is special.
I believe that the best way to create a better future is by optimizing the potential of children. The church is by far the best network to achieve this, and Sikunye is helping to make that happen.
Sikunye has been very extravagant. I mean, since I joined, I've seen God filling in the gap for those teenage mothers and fathers.
Hi, the word I would use is impactful, as I have so enjoyed the resources, support, and valuable information Sikunye has provided.
Since I have joined Sikunye training, we learn how to take care of pregnant women all through their entire pregnancy, to show the love by giving them assistance when they are sick, to go and assist them with their chores, and to remind them about their checkup date in the clinic. And the other thing, if they have given birth to their precious baby, blessing babies, we give them blanket to show the love and the comfort that we have as a church.
If I had to describe Sikunye's work in one word, I would describe it as transformational. Through their partnership with churches and their work they do in equipping them with the skills and the knowledge that they need to support caregivers in the first 1,000 days, I believe they have a really unique opportunity not only to create impact, but also to sustain impact, given the really critical role that churches play in our communities.
My one word or sentence regarding the program is life-changing. Life-changing.
Hi, my name is Shuaib. I found Sikunye's work to be very enlightening for fathers.
My journey with Sikunye started 5 years ago when I attended the very first home visiting training session that they held. This has truly equipped me to draw alongside the families in First 1,000 Days in our church. In the past 5 years, our church has been blessed with around 15 first-time babies, and now we are being blessed with siblings to these babies. Our church has truly embraced supporting the families in First 1,000 Days. We are so thankful for all the training that Sikunye has offered us.
It is for us so easy to partner with Sikunye in these past years, because the principles that they use is just easy, common biblical principles. Whatever they do, it is practical. You can use it right away. And the process that they use make it that everything they do is sustainable. It is a wonderful opportunity to work with them, and a big privilege to work with them, and also to see the difference that they have made in this 5 years.
The biggest Sikunye impact in my church is that we've managed to guide, hold the hand and support the new moms and dads, and also just give them support when necessary as families. So that has worked tremendously in my church. There is support, there is encouragement, and we're moving forward as a church.
As ek Sikunye se werksimpak moet opsom, sal ek sê die bou van sterk families en 'n sterk gemeenskap.
I want to wish Sikunye a happy 5th year birthday anniversary. We rejoice with you as you celebrate your 5 years of faithful service and dedication to the Lord's work. This milestone is a testament to God's grace, guidance, and provision, as well as the unwavering commitment and passion of everyone involved in your organization. Congratulations on this wonderful achievement. We look forward to witnessing many more years of impactful ministry and transformation through your work.
I really enjoyed watching that video of people who have been part of our story. It keeps reminding me that we are in this thing together with so many people from different parts of the world and beyond our country. Sikunye is a non-profit organization, so we rely on funding and donations of various people, trust, foundations, and churches. So we are so grateful for every rand that is given, because it enables us to do the work that we do better. So I would like to take this opportunity and thank those who have made it possible financially. Firstly, I would like to thank the following organizations and trusts. The Anthony Rockstichting, also known as VUMA. I apologize again if I didn't pronounce that properly. And all the Common Ground churches who have invested in our work for the longest time. DGMT and the Dumo Foundation, Grow Great, Innovation Edge, Megan Foundation, Sota Charitable Trust. We are so grateful to individuals who have caught the vision and invested in our work. There are so many people, so many who are anonymous. Thank you to individual donors who contribute each month, individuals who give from estates of relatives, and also there are people who run, who cycle, who do sporting events as a platform to raise money for our work. Thank you, we see you. We are able to make material freely available and supply mobile data to move barriers for churches and individuals who are not otherwise able to attend. So your generosity is impacting lives. It is changing mindset. It is putting children on a pathway of thriving. We have heard the story of a church, and now Bryony is going to share with us some of the stories of the impact on families. Thank you.
We see. So over the 5 years, we've heard some incredible stories of families being supported and loved and cared for by their local church community. And often it's hard to do the work that we're doing because we're not on the ground, we're not working with families, and we don't see the impact of the work. But then someone will send us a voice note or a video or a message telling us a story of a family, and that encourages us and keeps us going. Let us watch a video of hearing some of these stories. I remember when we were offering antenatal classes using the Flourish model at Mowbray Maternity Hospital. I arrived at the graduation ceremony for mums and saw Bongi sitting with her twins who'd been born early, and next to her was her sister-in-law. And when I asked her why she had joined that day, she explained how she was supporting Bongi by carrying one of the twins or soothing one whilst the other breastfed. That lady was the wife of Pastor Siabonga from Light Restoration Center, the story of the church we heard before. And so this is a story of a church so beautifully acting out the knowledge that they had received in their own families. Suzake, a member of Light Restoration Center, trained as a home visitor, and during the training, her daughter gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. After we shared an image on how to swaddle a baby to soothe him, Suzaki sent us a video of her daughter following the instructions from the image we had used. Again, a home visitor beautifully putting into action what she had learnt in her own family. Pastor Noah from Citybeng told us how he accompanied 4 mothers to SASSA to apply for a child support grant after having done the Katalela training and receiving the resources on how to apply for the grant. Evodia from Senegal shared this message with us. I must share with you all that my weekend was great. I was better after that training on how to ask good questions. So I went to 3 mothers. Wow. It was easy to interact with these wonderful families. We finished our meetings with prayers. Thank you, Sikunye. I have never felt like I'm part of my community like I do now. Cindy from Durbanville told us how she is celebrating the friendships she had developed with her mum, as it had a ripple effect on other mums, and that out of their friendship, mum is feeling encouraged, and so it spills over into her other friendships. Pazima from Voslerus told us how she goes from door to door visiting mums. In one family she visited, there was a pregnant mum who did not want to go for her antenatal checkups. Pazima encouraged her to go. She wrote a letter of referral and went back regularly to check that mum had gone for her visits. What she saw was that mum started going to her antenatal visits. Leroy from Kryfontein has been visiting dads after doing Sikunye's fatherhood in the first 1,000 days training. He has 3 dads that he has been journeying closely with. Musa is one. He is a first-time dad living with his girlfriend, the mother of his baby boy. He said that Leroy has always been available to talk to him when he needed guidance, and the information that he shared about how to be a responsible father was important because he was only raised by his mother, as his father was not present. With what he had heard, it really challenged him, and there were great points on how to be a first-time dad that he wanted to put into practice in his child's life from the start. Trifina from Brits told us that mums in her church normally go out of the venue to breastfeed and change nappies, as they do not have a changing mat in the toilet. Mums would sit in the shade of a tree, which is not protected, so when it was raining, they were in the rain. But now, as a church, they have put the chairs for the service forward, so there is some space at the back of the church for mums and dads to go sit. One day, she saw a dad changing the nappy of his child at the back, and she sees members of the congregation holding babies during the service so that mums and dads get rest while listening to the service. Pastor Peter from Polokwane told us how his church has created a welcoming environment for teen mothers and fathers by making sure that they have a fellowship team, a follow-up team, and a counseling team to check in when the teen parents have not come to church. One girl was part of the worship team when she fell pregnant and disappeared from church. She was given follow-up and counseling and is now back singing, and he's also seen other teen parents go on and get married. Pastor Kumalo from Cosmo City first met Sikunye in 2021, and he was a new dad to a baby boy called Ebo Lenkosi. Having heard about the importance of a dad being present in his child's life from the very beginning, he put into practice all that he had learned from Sikunye, being a positive, present, and involved dad. Today, he can say that being a dad makes me feel complete, responsible for a life, and holding a baton until the time is right. And I know that my smile lights up my child's entire day. So we love these stories, and we know that there are many, many more of families' lives that are being impacted by the heart of their local church that they have for their family in the first 1,000 days. And we know that when parents are cared for and loved and supported, they too can provide love and care and support for their child. And we will see a new generation of children thriving in South Africa.
Wonderful, Rani. Thank you so much. You know, the last 5 years have been filled with so many things, and trying to summarize it in a short time has been really difficult for us. And I encourage you to go deeper in the report that we'll send you tomorrow. But I want to honor some of the organizations and the people that have been part of our story and influential in shaping who we are. So kind of taking a theme of saying, what were we like back then, 5 years ago, and what are we doing now? What does it look like now? So that's the kind of theme for this next section. But when I think about awareness of the first 1,000 days, when we started in this space, David Harrison and DGMT and Embrace were crucial thought leaders for us. And you know, when we got this information about the first 1,000 days, it felt like there were so few church leaders who had ever even heard about the first 1,000 days. As Ruth mentioned, one of the big parts of what we do is spread the big idea. And so 5 years later, we've had over 2,700 people go through our church and early life presentations and workshops. We've been on radio, newspaper articles have been written, presented to denominational structures and conferences, and we continue to help people see what the first 1,000 days is all about. We even had our research report quoted in other research papers in the Philippines and Indonesia, and that's where Google Translate was very helpful. Now, beyond awareness of the first 1,000 days, I think about our program offering. At the beginning of our story, we had our research report, our theory of change. We were passionate and filled with ideas, but we didn't have anything to offer churches to pick up and implement in their context. And so we engaged with a range of people and organizations to develop what we have now that you heard from Ruth. I want to take this moment to thank and acknowledge Mukulu Book Sharing, Flourish, Lalanati, Dr. Draper, Heartlines and Fathers Matter, Mencare, Parent Center, Innovation Edge, Living Hope, and many others who've worked with us to share their content or train us to utilize their programs. And there are many, many more people who have featured as guest speakers in our workshops. And in terms of how many of these things have we run over the last 5 years, we added it all up and got to 405 events and workshops that we've run in the last 5 years. One of the interesting things that we do within Sikunye is we straddle the two worlds of health practices and church practices. And we try to bring those two worlds closer together for the sake of children. When we started 5 years ago, there were a few key thought leaders that we looked to for guidance and input in bringing these two things together. And now we have a wonderful variety of people and organizations that we engage with around these big issues. I think of Professor Chantal Weber, Professor Mark Tomlinson, the Petra Institute, the Child Theology Movement, and Professor Linda Richter, and content from the Harvard Center on the Developing Child and the Nurturing Care Framework has been crucial and central to our programmatic design. You're welcome to Google any of those people and organizations that I've just mentioned. They are doing fantastic stuff. What about our geographical reach? At the beginning of our story, we had a small network of churches that we were engaging with directly. And we had ideas of dividing up our city into 4 segments and then directing our efforts at those areas. And 2020 lockdown completely turned those plans around. And we went online and had a reach much further than we had planned. And so what you see on the screen now are the churches that are part of our network in different provinces across the country. And in fact, we've been able to present in person in 6 of our 9 provinces. And we've also been able to reach into other countries like Namibia, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Lesotho, and Nepal. In terms of the scale of the number of churches that have committed themselves to caring for families, we are currently sitting at 1,176 churches that have said, we want to impact families for good. And when we ask churches, how many families are in your church community that are in the stage of the first 1,000 days? We can now estimate that there are 12,000 families being impacted by these churches. And it's at this point that I want to thank and acknowledge our community mobilizers. These are passionate individuals who work to introduce church leaders to Sikunye. And it's in partnership with them that we've seen wonderful range of churches engage with us, from rural areas to cities, across denominations and cultures. And you've seen in the chat box where many of the church leaders here tonight said, I heard about it from, and then they give a name, and it's one of our community mobilizers. So let me take a moment to list them all. Pastor Bazan Guyana, Litoriso Mputi, Hunse Nyakale, Hazel Herval, Apostle Jackson Nkosi, Pastor Likaleli Molate, Luzuko Ngalo, Mandudu Magagula, Pindilia Sibeko, Rolina Gamo, Pastor Siamboga Maklina, Reverend Sibungile Machashula, Sophie Hendricks, Pastor Tim Nkosi Fati, and Violet Tabiseng Makete. We are so grateful for your partnership. And I know for several of you, I've looked you in the eye and I said, and I might get into trouble for saying this, it feels like you're my brother from another mother, or you're my sister from another mister. It is so good to do this work together with you, to take hands for the sake of young children. Now, we asked one of our community mobilizers, Dita Risa, to share with us what has been encouraging to her in playing this role of being a community mobilizer. And she sent us a brief video that we'd love to play for you today.
Hi, this is Evangelist Ditoriso Mputi from God's Love Ministries International. We joined Sikunye in 2020 in becoming a first 1,000-day friendly church. In 2021 is then when I was recruited to be a community mobilizer, and that's when I then started mobilizing churches to join Sikunye in Johannesburg in 2021 and 2022. And then when I moved to Bloemfontein in the Free State to become a Flourish Project Coordinator, is then when I started mobilizing churches also in the Free State. And God has just been so good to Sikunye. We've managed to reach so many churches in order to be intentional about being first 1,000-day friendly churches. What I enjoy most about being a community mobilizer is seeing churches take the small steps in becoming a first 1,000-day friendly church, such as providing rooibos tea to pregnant women on a Sunday, and just carrying the mom's bags and just saying, wow, we're so glad that you made it to church. And them just sharing stories with me that they've actually printed beautiful pillows with scriptures on them, for pregnant moms to sit on and be comfortable in church. Those small steps that churches are taking, it doesn't have to be something big. We don't have to think that it's like a new project in the church. It's just those little things. And, churches just providing safe spaces for moms in the churches and surrounding them with love in order for them to better care for their children. And I'm happy to be a mobilizer and to continue mobilizing churches across South Africa and seeing children reach their God-given potential.
Thank you, Dita Russo. I see you. Now, another feature of our last 5 years have been people and organizations who, what we call door openers, those who have invited us, introduced us, and connected us to others. In the early days, we felt like we were a small team on our own, but we can see how many new opportunities have come our way through the generosity of introduction. And so I want to mention the Dutch Reformed Church and the Uniting Reformed Church and Diakonia, and more recently, Little Seeds, who were in our event earlier. Also think of the Dumore Foundation, who has modeled so wonderfully the power of collaboration in a community and area. Also think of Connect Network and Valcare and the concerned clergy of the Western Cape. Now, I know our story is still unfolding and there's still more to come. And I encourage you, as you say, keep following us and dig deeper into the content in the document we'll be sharing tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier, Sikunye is an initiative of common good. Our work is part of a bigger story and a bigger team. And we're now going to hear from the CEO of Common Good, Polly Murphy. Over to you, Polly.
Hi, Rich, and thanks so much. We are so grateful to be celebrating 5 years of our early life program, Sikunye. We're so grateful for the opportunity to have impacted so many churches, families, and children over this time, and to have done so in partnership with so many like-minded, passionate people and organizations who are on this call this evening. And we're so privileged to be able to work with you guys. We're also so encouraged about our future when we hear the feedback from church leaders and volunteers about your interactions with young families in your local communities, because these stories translate into real and tangible change. And as a result of looking back on the last 5 years of Sikunye, we are so encouraged by what the future can and could look like. As Common Good, we are not only in this together, but we're in this together for South Africa. We are a faith-based development organization working to address society's biggest issues. We do this by swimming upstream and tackling these issues closer to their source and trying to do this at scale. Our cradle to classroom to career model prioritizes acknowledging and leveraging the remarkable strengths and assets that exist in local communities. You'll see the same focus on partnership, support, and scaffolding in our education, employment, and justice and the church programs. We see our role as supporting national grassroots transformation that will empower local communities. We do this by providing a robust framework of tools and resources and relationships to those already on the front lines of change. By working together, we really can achieve so much more. So we thank you so much for being part of the celebration and for collectively serving the children of our nation. We really are all in this together for South Africa.
Polly, thank you so much. And it's at this point I want to acknowledge the broader Common Good team, present and past, as well as the board of Common Good. You have stood with us, supported us, encouraged us, strengthened us, and been our biggest fans and allies. I want to say thank you. Over the last month, we've been doing a campaign to encourage churches to complete their baseline survey with us. And we dangled a carrot, a prize for all churches who completed it. We'll put in a lucky draw to receive a prize to the value of 2,500 Rand. And this prize is a customized first 1,000-day kit for their church. Depending on what their plans are, what their needs are, we will purchase it and send it to them that they can be a blessing to families. And so with the drum roll happening on, the lucky draw was done earlier today, and I'd like to announce that the winner is, let's get that drum roll going, Mekadesh Fellowship International. They are based in Mandeni, which is in KwaZulu-Natal, and I got to meet them in my trip there earlier this year in January when we were able to present the church and early life. We're going to be in contact with them to organize what they need. Now, before we close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Sikunye team. Your hard work and dedication into children is felt in families that you will never meet. There are thousands of churches reaching so many families, and you might not see a direct result in the fruit of your work. And I want to say thank you. I know that you don't do it for me, but please allow me to extend my gratitude on behalf of many people here to say thank you when we see you. Now, more than ever, as Sikunye, we are committed to seeing every child in South Africa be on that pathway of thriving. We are relentless in our pursuit of seeing churches play their part in this future. And as we've looked back over the last 5 years, we have learned from the big and the small things. And we have a growing confidence that our role in the coming years is to deepen our work with churches, to increase their impact. We are confident that everyday actions of a growing network of churches will see our children put on those pathways with a positive impact for themselves and future generation. Now, we've reached the end of our time together, and there are so many people we want to thank and acknowledge. And as people of faith, we want to round off this time thanking our God for his work in this organization. And I've asked Daisy to close and pray for us. Daisy is our administrator, and many of you will have interacted with her even tonight in getting things sorted out to attend our online events. So we've asked her to put microphone on and to bless and close our time together in prayer. Over to you, Daisy.
Thank you, Richard. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are just in awe of you. We acknowledge that We have come thus far because of your grace. And as I've seen in the chats, the message is just grace, grace, grace. And it is your mercy and grace that has brought us this far. We thank you for the many partners that have come alongside us to join us in this big work. We thank you, Lord God, for the churches that have come on board, for the leaders, the volunteers, and the pastors that have put their hands up and said, yes, I want to be part of the change in this nation of South Africa. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for our community mobilizers. We thank you for the donors that so faithfully give, Father God, so that we can continue this great work. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for the Greater Common Good team and the support that we have from Common Good. And we just want to give you all the glory and the honor, Father God. We thank you for 5 years and we look forward to the next 5 years and beyond, Father God. And we know that you will exceed our expectations, that you will exceed anything that we have ever imagined, because you have big dreams for South Africa and you have big plans for the children that are in their first 1,000 days, and you love them unconditionally. And so we thank you, Lord God, that we can get to do this mighty work. Thank you for the seeds that have been planted so far that will take root and that will grow, Father God, and that this message will go far and wide, even beyond the borders of South Africa. We thank you for the tools that you have given us, that we can reach even beyond our borders. So we just give you all the glory and the honor, and we just say thank you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Daisy. And I want to thank all of you for being with us today. We've been so encouraged by your presence and your comments in the chat box. It really has warmed our hearts. Thank you. As I've mentioned, we'll be sending out a link to a recording of this, as well as that document that covers more details of our last 5 years. And please feel free to share that and send it along to anybody who you think would be interested. I started off by saying we are in this together, and that is exactly how I'd like to finish. We are in this together with you and so many other people across our nation, and we're eager to see how the next 5 years will look as we take hands to see all children get a strong start to life. Thank you so much for being with us. God bless and goodbye.